Now batting number 44, Anthony Rizzo. Have we not heard that for the final time at Wrigley Field? Stay tuned to find out. Locked On Cubs rolls now.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, Locked On family. Happy Monday to you. Welcome in, Locked On Cubs. Fresh off the weekend, I'm Andrew Bellison, your host. Locked On Cubs is indeed part of the Locked On Podcast Network and proud to be. Thank you for taking the time today to make us your first listen of the day. It means the world to us. I have said it, and I'll say it again. I am a broken record. I love spending the mornings with you. I look forward to it. It's been about 2 months since I've been having the opportunity to host Locked On Cubs, and I have enjoyed every second of it. You are the ones that make this show go. I'm just along for the ride. So thank you for making us your first listen. Want to take the time to remind you real quick, today's episode brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. Join us on social media at Chicago Cubs PA on Twitter, at Locked On Cubs on Twitter as well. Love to interact with everybody on social media. Please be respectful of one another, but I love to hear your opinion. I love to engage with fans on Twitter. Also, join us on YouTube if you haven't. I know you don't want to sit there and look at me for 25 minutes. Listening is enough, but check out our Locked On Cubs YouTube page. I think you'll enjoy it as well. Great stuff to catch up on today. We've got some Cubs news, notes, nuggets, and bullets, some things that have gone on the last week or so surrounding the team that we want to hit. Want to talk about the MLB lockout. Unfortunately, this has been a topic that we have discussed at least once or twice a week since December, early December, when the lockout was imposed. And unfortunately, this is not a segment that normally brings good news, and today is no exception. But first, who plays first base for the Cubs in 2022? Now, I'm partial to first base. I was a first baseman in my very brief Division III college career. First base is always very close to my heart, and we had it solidified there for so long with Anthony Rizzo. Well, he got dealt last year, as we know. So when Frank Schwindel slid in and played 51 games after the deadline last year, we just all assumed that that would be the man in 2022. Is that correct? Well, not so fast, Cubs fans. Have you heard the breaking news? Bruce Levine has reported, and I quote, when asked about a potential Anthony Rizzo return to the Chicago Cubs, he said, "I've heard that's possible. I heard it's not out of the realm of giving a 2 or 3 year contract." Bruce, interesting. Let's clear one thing up here real quick. Bruce Levine is a very respected reporter in this city, in the baseball community, and has been for a very, very long time. These are not things that he would just throw out there. So, yes, the team dealt him away. Yes, he sold his condo in Chicago. However, 2 months into the lockout here, this is what he's hearing. And I'm not going to lie to you, this excites me a little bit. I'm a Rizzo guy, man. Like I said, I'm partial to a good first baseman, especially a big left-hander like that. Do we want this? Do you want this as a Cubs fan? Do you like this? Signing Rizzo to a shorter-term deal makes a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. Talent-wise and payroll-wise. As far as the money goes, and let's be honest, money's everything now, especially in this game. Look at where we're at with the lockout. It's financially driven. We discussed this with Brett Taylor of Bleacher Nation on Locked On Cubs last week. The Cubs have more short-term dollars available than most other clubs do, both in raw dollars and in terms of the distance between their current payroll and the CBT. and can therefore offer higher annual value deals over the next 2 to 3 years than most other teams out there. So bringing in Stroman and the other splashes they made before the lockout have really proved that the Cubs are not about tearing down and starting over. This is not Tank City. This is time to compete in 2022. Okay. So if that's the case, as has been suggested by them, they'll have to land a couple of these shorter term, higher annual value contracts that we've been talking about once the lockout ends to really convince me fully. Fair enough? I think that's fair. The deal, according to Bruce, could be a $40 million deal for 2 years. So essentially $20 million a year with a third year option potentially. Now that's a lot of money for a 32 going to be 33-year-old first baseman whose production has noticeably fallen off. I mean, let's not lie. He's not the same player that he necessarily was. But this is what Bruce had floating around. And I'm not going to lie to you. I love it. I absolutely love it. You're clamoring for a power left-handed bat in the lineup, and everyone goes, and myself included, everyone goes right to the outfield. Well, we need to bring in an outfielder with that power bat. Bring your guy back. You got it at the hot corner, okay? I mean, Rizzo fits that bill. Wouldn't a reunion with one of the best Cubs to ever don the uniform kind of just make sense in this situation? Sometimes things make too much sense, though. That's could be a problem. Let's take a surface level look real quick at the numbers from last year on Anthony. Again, 32 years old, will be 33 in August. I would say next season, but we don't know if we're going to get there with the CBA. We hope. In 2021 with the Cubs before the deal, 92 games played. Little over 300 at bats, hit 248, 14 home runs, 40 driven in. Went to the Yankees, played about half those games, right around half the sample size. 49 games, 175 at bats, hit 249, 8 home runs, 21 ribbies. Super consistent there in terms of what you were getting. Overall, between the Yanks and the Cubs in 2021, 344 on base percentage combined, his lowest since 2013, not counting the COVID 2020 year. Overall slugging, 783, also lowest since that year, not counting the COVID shortened 2020 season. So Anthony's replacement and supposed replacement for 2022 at first base, as it stands now, Frank Schwindel, tore the cover off the ball in 51 games for the Cubs. 342 average, 16 home runs. Guy was a freak. I mean, he was unbelievable. You couldn't get him out. Regression in 2022? Absolutely. I mean, that's inevitable. The sample size was small. The league hadn't seen him. There will be regression. Now, how much? Can he maintain a competitive edge and still be a force in the Cubs lineup? Should he get regular at-bats? I wanted to take a look at the 2022 projections on Schwindel. Should he be the guy? And you got all these different groups that do these projections, Composite and RotoChamp and Steamer and Zips. All of them have him around 500 at bats, meaning he's going to play, in their eyes, a good chunk of games. The most would be Steamer with 541. And the least, Zips with 449 at bats. Home run totals very consistent, 24, 26, 27, 21, 22, 20. So the power presumably still there. Ribbies anywhere from 70 to upper 80s. All of them have him hitting right in the 270 range, high 260s, low 270s. The Bat X has him down at like 247, but that on base percentage hovering around 310, 315. OPS, maybe 800, maybe. So that's where they're predicting in terms of regression wise for him. Pretty significant. I mean, you're talking about a full season compared to 51 games. Also worth noting, his salary last year was only $570,000. So that compared to 20 mil, well, it's a big difference. But what does this all mean overall? You have the chance to welcome a Cubs legend back, a World Series champion, a face of the franchise, a fan favorite. Defensively, something we never talked about enough with Rizzo, still very capable at first base. Great first baseman, still very good at that position defensively. All those intangibles, team leader, clubhouse leader, veteran, almost like a David Ross extension, a coaching extension who could still play. You get that left-handed power bat you're clamoring for, middle of the order guy still. And as Brett Taylor of Bleacher Nation talked about last week, if things go poorly, you've got a chance to move him again. I don't know if you could do that again if you bring him in on a short-term deal and then ship him out again. But you're showing your commitment to winning and winning now by making a move like that. Lockout's far from over. So, we're kind of dreaming at this point anyways. But, man, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Be fun to see how that shakes out. Speaking of lockout, updates from the previous week coming up here shortly. Again, not the best news. Actually, this is getting almost ridiculous. Stick around for that. You're going to want to hear it. I know you've heard me talk about it plenty, but it is worth noting that Built Bar is the real deal. This is the time of year that most people have pretty much given up on all those resolutions by, but not this year, because people are sticking to eating right thanks to the Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because the Built Bar is so good to eat. Have you tried the Built Bar Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're mallow-y. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite. Incredible flavors, yummy, cinnamony churro, coconutty marshmallow, banana cream pie, so good. These are going to be your new favorites. I promise you that. Low cal, high protein. Replace your candy bars and your sugary garbage with these. They're better. They taste better. And a typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. How about a Built Bar? About 140. So literally half. Go to Built.com, scroll down to the macros alert. You'll be blown away. 4 grams of sugar only, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Do me a favor. When you order, go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15. Get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 at Built.com. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need for your car. So why endure often pointless, intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter simply orders the parts on their computer? You can do it yourself. Save time and money using Rock Auto. Why spend 30, 40, 50% more for the same parts from a chain or dealership when you can go to Rock Auto? It's a family business serving do-it-yourselfers like us for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every single customer. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in there. How did you hear about us? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. Locked On Cubs rolls on next. Welcome back in, everybody. Locked On Cubs. I am your host, Andrew Bellison. Thank you for tuning in and joining us today. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every morning. We love to spend it with you. If you're going to work, to school, maybe you're home making breakfast for the kids, making breakfast for yourself, getting the cat fed, getting the dogs fed. Thanks for tuning us in. Free and available wherever you download your favorite podcast. And also check us out on YouTube. Locked On Cubs YouTube page, at Locked On Cubs, at Chicago Cubs PA on Twitter. Thank you for taking the time to be with us each and every morning. Well, Super Bowl week, and it's Super Week here at Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, brought to you by Get Upside, and there's no better place to get coverage of the big game than the Locked On NFL podcast. Locked On Bengals and Locked On Rams are in LA covering the big game this week. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. For those of you that don't know me, I don't blame you one bit. I'm Andrew Bellison. I was the Wrigley Field public address announcer for 10 years, and now I'm here with you guys hosting Locked On Cubs, and it has just been an absolute thrill for me. I said it before, we've reported on this weekly, at least over the last several weeks, couple months, and it seldom delivers news that brings a smile to your face. And guess what? I got a case of the Mondays for you because it's the same case here today. Spring training report dates are just a week away, and we have nothing. Have you heard the latest? So let's rewind to last week, give you the CBA MLB lockout update. On Thursday, Major League Baseball asked the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service for its help in what would have been a non-binding and voluntary process that is meant to offer suggestions, not settlements. What does this mean? The league requested a third-party mediation service to come in and get the league and the players on the same page and negotiating towards a resolution. Frustrated with the owner's proposals, or lack thereof in this case, and knowing that a previous attempt at mediation was fruitless, the players' union rejected the offer on Friday. And then we headed into the weekend, and here we are Monday morning. What does this all mean for us as fans, for the game itself moving forward? Well, Locked On fam, we're going backwards here. That's what this means. Here's the timeline to hopefully help you put this all into perspective a little bit better and get you caught up as we move forward towards next week and what should be the start of pitchers and catchers reporting to the Cactus and Grapefruit Leagues, respectively. The latest was on Tuesday when the union presented a proposal in person. This is before the mediation request, dating back to last Tuesday, that made modest tweaks to its request regarding service time manipulation. Again, service time manipulation is where major league ready players are kept in the minors to maximize the amount of time that they're under team control on the back end of their deals, keeping Chris Bryant down till April 17th or whatever it was in his rookie year. So they had an extra year of control on him on the back end. That's what that is. Also adjusted its ask on a bonus pool for players not yet eligible for arbitration. The players, though, maintain their stances on other issues, including in two areas that Major League Baseball said it will not negotiate on: changes to revenue sharing among teams and salary arbitration eligibility. I told you this whole thing is financially driven from any angle you look. So the meeting on Tuesday was described by those in the know as heated. The league told the union it would respond to its proposal. So the union, the players' union, expected a rebuttal or a counter proposal from Major League Baseball. Guess what? They never got it. Fast forward to Thursday of last week. Major League Baseball, which believed it already had made several concessions to the players' union on matters such as the draft lottery, a pre-arbitration bonus pool, a scheme to curb service time manipulation, and a universal designated hitter, sought outside help from the federal agency that we mentioned earlier that has assisted in past labor disputes in other pro sports leagues, including the NHL and Major League Soccer. So, has this happened before where one side has requested help from a third party to try to make this all work out? The answer is yes. During the 1994-95 players' strike in Major League Baseball, which was the last work stoppage to cost regular season games, which this is potentially going to be the next, a federal mediator did step in at the urging of President Bill Clinton, as a matter of fact, but it proved to be unsuccessful at that time. The union then, 25 years ago, was dissatisfied with the mediator's rationale and suggestions, while the owners endorsed the mediator. The federal mediator used during the 1981 Major League Players strike was successful, and then later briefly served as the union chief. So they're kind of one for two in terms of Major League Baseball bringing in a third party to try to help settle the beefs on both sides. Let's not sugarcoat this moving forward. It's not good. Spring training will not start on time. The regular season will not start on time. We have dilly-dallied too long. The sides have not negotiated enough. And now they're essentially at a stalemate again, and things are not progressing where we had hoped they would. It's not going to be good. Keep this in mind as well. Once the lockout is done, a new CBA is hashed out and signed by both parties. You have to finish your offseason, essentially, get into playing shape, have some semblance of spring training before you can start playing. It is now going into the second week of February here, and here we are, crickets, further apart than ever. Yankees reliever Zach Britton, who is a top union representative, was asked by a fan why players refused mediation this time around. And this answer by Zach is telling, and I quote, "The history of mediation in Major League Baseball has been completely one-sided. That's why MLB suggested it. Instead of trying to delay making proposals with this PR stunt, MLB should actually attempt to bargain." That gives you an idea of where the two sides sit. And that's pretty much all you need to know. At this point, the normal baseball calendar is adios. The days keep ticking by, and the CBA negotiations keep passing the other way. Not good. Cubs bullets, some condolences, and some other Cubs news coming up shortly here on Locked On Cubs. BetOnline has you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the playoffs right up to the big game in a couple of weeks. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news all season long. And it's not just football. BetOnline has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live real-time updates of current games. So do not wait to take advantage of this new amazing offer available for the 2022 season. Visit us, BetOnline, where the game starts. Locked On Cubs continues after this. Welcome back in Locked On Cubs family. I'm Andrew Bellison. Thank you for being with us today. Free and available is Locked On Cubs wherever you download your favorite podcast. Check us out on YouTube as well, Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Give us a like, give us a subscription. We'd love it. We'd appreciate it more than you know. So good to be with you. Locked On Cubs is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Some Nuggets and Cubs news over the last week outside of the CBA. Slow time of year. Spring training, unfortunately, not going to happen on time, which stinks. I know. Maybe you've heard some of these tidbits, but I wanted to offer condolences on behalf of the Locked On Cubs family to the family of Pat Brickhouse, the widow of Jack Brickhouse, longtime Cubs broadcaster. She passed away about a week and a half ago. Pat was a vivacious and spunky person, to say the least. Had the opportunity to meet her a couple times at Wrigley when she sang The Stretch. Just the life of the party, and she really championed Jack's cause for getting him the recognition that I feel he deserved, and she did as well. Always thought that Jack deserved more credit than he got. And listen, I'm a Harry Carey guy. That's why I got into broadcasting and this industry in the first place. But Jack meant just as much or more to the Chicago Cubs organization and what he did early on with WGN in terms of televising the Cubs than the credit that he gets. And she tried to make sure that he was recognized rightfully for what he did. Bears, Bulls, Sox, Cubs. I mean, he did it all. He was the voice of all seasons. What he meant to that generation was something truly special. You know, my dad's in his early 70s, and I remember being at Cubs convention in 1998, shortly before Jack and Harry passed away, and saw Jack in the elevator bank at the old Hilton, where the convention used to be, the Hilton Towers on Michigan. And as a kid, I mean, I knew who he was. I thought, my gosh, Jack Brickhouse, what an amazing thing to see. He was very frail at that time. And I've never seen really my dad be starstruck, but I think that was the first time I ever saw him starstruck, because the voice of his childhood, the person he listened to every day after school when he ran home on WGN TV, walked by him and he got to shake his hand. And I think that goes to show you what Jack meant to that era of Cubs fans. And so Pat did such wonderful work to champion her husband's cause, and now she joins him elsewhere. So condolences to the family of Pat Brickhouse on a life well lived. If you've been by Wrigley Field lately, maybe you thought you were playing a little hide and seek with the Billy Williams and Ron Santos statues. They're waiting for you to find them, as a matter of fact. They've hidden. Now you seek. They're gone, right? Yes, they've been moved. Moved to a storage facility in Michigan. Don't know the backstory on this. Why Michigan? Who knows? Doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to the naked eye, but that's where they're at. Why, you ask? Well, their location is going to be presumably the new home of the Chicago Cubs' first sports book. So they had to make some room. They will be returned, according to the organization. But I'd be remiss again if I didn't ask, why Michigan? Doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Thank you for being with us today here on Locked On Cubs. Hoping to have better news to report to you regarding the CBA and the lockout later on this week. Have a couple more awesome special guests lined up for you as well. Plus, we're going to take a look at the projected Cubs 26-man rosters. Anthony Rizzo going to be a part of that. Thank you for making Locked On Cubs your first listen each and every morning. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets. It's your daily one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs, hosted by your boy Q. With expert analysis from Lee Sterling, it's free and available wherever you get your podcast, just like Locked On Cubs. We will see you next time. Have a great Monday. Adios, Locked On fam.